G'day guys and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So guys, in today's video, I'm going to be going through my prediction for the second half of the AFL season. So obviously it's going to be a lot different to what my predictions looked at the start of the year, because teams like Adelaide, Gold Coast, they've been flying, and some other teams like, your Port Adelaides, your Swans, stuff like that, Carlton, they've been struggling. So we're going to go through and I'm going to give you my final ladder prediction for 2025. If you've watched my NRL content, I actually did this for a quarter of the season. I'm doing another one for the half of the season. I'm doing the last one for the 3 quarters of the season. And then, but for the AFL, I'm just doing 2. So obviously my starter one at the start of the year, and now this one for the mid-season update. So if you could, guys, leave a like on the video, hit that sub button. It'll mean the absolute world to me. I'd love to hit 20,000 subs by, I would say, probably the end of 2026. So I can't do that without your support, guys. We're already at 11,000, so that is incredible. But can't grow without your help. So if you could hit that sub button, guys, it takes 2 seconds and mean the absolute world to me. And I've got merch. The merch has dropped. It dropped last week. I've already had a few sales on it. I was going to use another way of doing it, but that the quality was nowhere near as good as this one is. So go and check out the website, guys. It will be linked in the description. There's also you should also have product tabs and stuff you can open. But check it out. The merch is incredible. It does cost a little bit more to make, so I am out of pocket a little bit for it, but I just want to get my brand out there. I think the design is incredible. Obviously, you would have seen it. It'll be up on the screen somewhere. Please check it out. All right, without further ado, let's jump into it. So what we'll do is we'll start from the bottom up. My wooden spooners. So at the start of the year, my wooden spooners were the Richmond Tigers. I thought they'd struggle to even get a game won this year. But now I do think they move up a little bit. And unfortunately, the West Coast Eagles, my club, I've got as the wooden spooners. I do not see a world where West Coast get off the bottom of the ladder this season, to be honest. There might be a time where they overtake Richmond or North Melbourne here or there. But for the most part, I do think we will finish last, which is disappointing. But hopefully we start moving in the right direction over the next few years, because while we've had a lot of success as an Eagles fan, I have not seen this poor of a run. So I understand other clubs, they've gone through a lot worse than West Coast, don't get me wrong, but it still sucks as an Eagles fan. All right, now we're going to go through teams that I think miss the finals. All the teams are set up in alphabetical order, so I am going to go through who I think misses finals. And Carlton, the first one. I think they're going to finish the season quite strong, but I think that start to the year really hammered their season quite a lot. So I do think they miss finals this year because of how poorly they started the year. Next up is Essendon. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. I think the around that 8th through to about 13th, 12th, 13th will be very highly contested, like a 1 or 2 game difference between those teams. But I do have Essendon around that. So I don't think Essendon make finals. I think they will give it a good go. But unfortunately, I do have them missing out. The next team I've got missing finals is GWS. I actually have them just falling out of the top 8, literally just. So I do think GWS will miss out on finals footy. Melbourne are another one. I don't see them getting close to the top 8, to be fair. I think they will be closer to the bottom 4. So unfortunately, Melbourne fans, I think your season is pretty much done and dusted at this point. North Melbourne are another one I thought would be heavily more improved. I don't think they finish in the bottom 2, but I can definitely see them around that 15th, 16th spot. So North Melbourne, obviously missing finals for me. Next up is Port Adelaide. Horrible start to the year. I think they've just the first half of the season has been pretty disappointing for them. I don't see a world where they make top 8 in this season. So unfortunately for Port Adelaide, they are missing the finals in my opinion. All right, next up we've got the Richmond Tigers. I think they'll be a bottom 2 side. They're missing the finals for me. I don't see them getting anywhere near a top 8 finish. I think, with the Eagles, I think they'll be down there as a bottom 2 finish. All right, next up, we've got St Kilda. St Kilda will not make finals. They're done. They're dusted. I think they'll be a bottom 4 team in 2025. And finally, Sydney Swans. A bit like Melbourne, I think they'll be closer to that bottom 4 than they will be the top 8. So that will round out the teams that I have missing the finals. All right, we're going to talk about teams that I think will be in that 5 to 8 sort of window. The first team is Freo. I think Freo will finish around, I'd say, between 7th and 9th. I think they'll be in that sort of area. Freo, they're playing pretty good footy. It's not great, but it's not bad either. I think they'll be a top 8 side. They'll find a way to sneak in there. I actually think in my ladder prediction, I've got a team on 62, and then for the 8th spot, I've got a team on 56. So I think it's going to be very, very congested up in that 3 to 8 spot. All right, next up, we've got Hawthorn. I think Hawthorn will make the top 8, but I do think that they are struggling a bit. They haven't been consistent this year. There's been games where they were expected to win that I personally think they didn't. And then there's times where you think, they shouldn't win this one, and they do. So I think they will be in the top 8, but unlike how I predicted it this year, I don't see them as a top 4 side. Next up, I've got the Western Bulldogs. I think the Dogs will be there in September. I think they will be around that, that 5 to 6th mark, potentially 7th as well. Around that sort of area, I think they'll lock themselves into a top 8 spot, though. They've been pretty good this year. I think they're sort of flying under the radar a bit, in my opinion. So I think the Dogs will be there in September. And then to wrap it up, the Gold Coast Suns, I don't think they will finish in the top 4. I think the 4 sides that I have over them will be too strong come later in the year. So I think the Suns will have a damn good season, but they will fall just short of a top 4 finish. Which brings me to the 3 teams I've got in the top 4. And then obviously I'll give you my minor premier prediction. So the first team in the top 4 is the Adelaide Crows. They have had such a good start to the year. They're looking incredible. They take on the Brisbane Lions this weekend, and I think that will make or break them this season, depending on how they show up in that game. That is a definite must-watch clash, in my opinion. I've got the Crows locking themselves into a top 4 berth, though, and I think that they will be tough to beat come September. The Brisbane Lions are another one I think you can pretty much lock into a top 4 at this point of the season. Again, a bit like the Hawks, they have been inconsistent. They drew with the Kangaroos, and they have definitely lost games that they should have won. They played pretty poorly against my West Coast Eagles at the Gabba as well. That was a great game to watch. But I think that the Lions, they should be there in the top 4. I'd be very surprised if they weren't. But they're another lock, I think, for the top 4. Geelong are another one. The team that Bailey Smith has just been carrying this team as well, let's just be honest. Bailey Smith is an absolute weapon. What a pickup for the Cats. I think that they are pretty much locked into the top 4 as well, which means, unfortunately, and it makes me sick to say this, but my minor premiers for 2025 at the midpoint of the season is the Collingwood Magpies. I think Collingwood have pretty much done enough to solidify themselves as a grand final threat, and I do think they win the minor premiership. Let me know your predictions down below in the comments. What changes would you make? Do you think I've hit the nail on the head? Do you think I have missed the mark? I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know. And hit that sub button, guys. You know what to do. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, legends.